Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei Got Betrayed and Become the Crimson Dragon God of Arcadia Season 2 Part 1. Before we start, please go support Au.RageRevan and Darkdecade97 for writing that awesome fanfic. Now let's begin. Season 2. Preview 1. A man was watching several events unfold. Upon closer inspection, these were events of a different universe. This universe belonged to the events of Arcadia Issei. This was a man that looked almost similar to Arcadia Issei, except he had black hair and red eyes. He wore a black and silver dress coat, black armor, black pants and black shoes. Throne. He was seated on a throne with an cold expression. He was seeing and watching scenes that comprised of his counterpart's journey. Some of the most journey, as he watched with a cold and disappointed look. "Cause I know what you feel, being betrayed is something I am familiar with, and you are not the only one, you are not alone in this fight, and I will fight for you, Empress Juniper. You helped me in my life, and made sure I settled down in a place I was not familiar with, same goes for my family, and it is fair that I help you. You helped me in my darkest and I shall also do the same." The voices kept playing out in different screens across the backgrounds. Another scene shows an event that happened during the prelude of the Arc Civil War. "I understand your concerns, Arc Council." Issei spoke up with a serious and with complete conviction, showing his goals. "But I will fight in this war. Arcadia is my home and the only place that accepted me, and I will not leave it undefended. I will fight for my home and deal with all those that wish harm upon my home. I will protect Arcadia as I would protect my home, no matter what happens. I will keep fighting till my last breath, and I won't stop until I am sure that Arcadia is safe and alright, no matter the cost." Issei's resolve shone in the council chamber halls. They knew he was serious, he was willing to fight a war for their sake. Issei was right, Arcadia was his home too, and like all Arcadians, he will protect their home no matter what happens. His choice was made clear as day, and no one was going to stop him. The third scene is seen playing. "First I'm seeing, space Issei." Issei looked at her and spoke, "Yes, this is my first time. There is a lot beyond your world, speaking of which, would you not mind if I called you Ice? It would be more convenient even for me." Issei looked at her and gave a smile, "Sure, why not? Anyways, you and your future squad will be having real-time missions in the space. Once you have your 1-year compulsory military." Juniper spoke, as she continued, "The best part is that many actually end up working in the military or go down their own paths, becoming the owner of several businesses. What is it that you want to become?" "To be honest, Juniper, my first goal is to become someone that can serve Arcadia, my home without exception. After that I haven't given much thought into it." Juniper nodded in response. The fourth scene is seen playing after that one. "Never thought the day would come, the day when someone outside of the family, not having Arc blood, would be worthy of an icon. You really are something." Issei Liam mused, however he was happy that the Knights of the Round was in the hands of someone worthy, someone deserving, like Issei. He trusted Issei at this point, who came back with his daughter alive. Even risking his life and almost being killed, he used a power that would have been almost fatal to him, and that day, he became worthy of the icon. But before you think of returning it, no, we are not asking you to do that. The icon has chosen you due to how you fiercely protected the Empress, even when giving your own life to do so. The power of the Knights of the Round, that is yours." Issei Galath spoke with a genuine smile, as Artemis responded, "You protected our Empress valiantly, and in response, we want to honor you for your service, despite not being into the army as well." Artemis spoke with a smile, as Issei responded, "Can we do it at a later date? I would really like some rest as well." Jean nodded in understanding as she responded, "Very well, Issei, you can rest, just let me know prior about your promotion. Alright." Issei nodded in response as he knew that the war is far from over, the Black Arms are still out there, and despite the Empress being safe, they are still present. The person finally speaks with a tone of disappointment and disdain towards Issei. "So much power, so much potential squandered. For so long." A soldier clad in white armor speaks. This was the Black Arms Sentinel officer. This was powered by the power of the White Dragon Emperor. "Lord Draken, the generals are ready, they simply await your orders." The man identified as Lord Draken keeps watching the scene. The fifth scene shows, revealing the marriage scene. "Let us begin with the vows." The pastor spoke with happiness, as Juniper spoke, "My love, from the moment I met you, I knew you were the one. Today, I stand before our loved ones to pledge my eternal love and devotion to you. I promise to support you, inspire you, and cherish you every day for the rest of our lives. I shall do the same as well." Issei responded with a smile, as he added, "I promise to be your partner in all things, your confidant in all matters, and your greatest advocate in all endeavors. I vow to stand by your side through the highs and lows, offering my unwavering love and support through every moment we share together. My love for you knows no bounds, and my commitment to you is unwavering. Today, I give you my heart, my soul, and my promise to love you unconditionally, for as long as we both shall live." Juniper spoke with a smile, as the pastor then announced, "So Miss Juniper Arc, do you take Issei Hyoudou as your husband?" Juniper looked at Issei and nodded as she spoke, "I do." "And you Issei, do you take Juniper Arc as your wife?" Issei nodded as he spoke. "I do. Please make them wear the wedding rings." The pastor spoke as he motioned the Persephone, and Liam walked forward to hand the two the rings as they made them wear it. The pastor then exclaimed with a smile, "You may now kiss the bride." Issei and Juniper looked at each other as they soon French kissed each other. Everyone clapped and cheered for the newlywed bride and bridegroom. Issei pulled her closer to him. The scene fades away as the man turns away with anger and disgust, but upon seeing certain individuals, there was sadness too, as he speaks with a hushed tone after a moment. "It is time to set things right." A armor comes on his expression, which was much darker yet similar to Welsh dragon balance breaker. The man soon gets up from the seat and walks forward and speaks, "We will invade everything that might protect him. Tear down everything that Issei cherishes, and then, when it is too late. When he is too powerless and alone, he will realize the truth." Draken soon gives a glance towards the soldier. He could have been a god over them. Draken watches the army as he raises his hands, giving a confirmation to prepare for an invasion, as they all cheer for his arrival. They soon salute, ready to invade the other Arcadia, when the order the time is right, when Draken commands them. Season 2. Preview 2. Crowds had gathered across the Ajuka Stadium cheering for what is about to happen. Two contenders were arriving on the stage on the opposite, that being Issei and Hyoudou. While many were cheering for Hyoudou, some were booing towards Issei or Issei Hyoudou, who has taken up the nickname Arc due to his wife. The only ones cheering for Issei were his wife and adoptive children, his real family and his two mentors that are watching the fight. Juniper was the loudest, alongside some like Jade, John, Rosemary and Aqua, who all had one thing in common: they wanted to pay for what he had done to Issei. Additionally, the match was broadcasted to all of Arcadia as well, who all wanted Issei to humiliate his so-called brother. The 501st, except for a select bunch, were watching from their homes excited for the match. When they heard of their general and later emperor's past, they were beyond livid. However, that was not where the anger ended. The anger extended all the way to the Arc Council, and all those who were helped by Issei and the 501st, they all excitedly watched a match between Issei and Dai. The match was even watched by Solid Snake, who was retired, Otacon and his adoptive daughter Sunny. How they were able to know this? Word gets fast around the places. Back at DXD World, the cheering annoyed those that loved Dai, as Yusaka had spoken. "Why are you cheering for that fraud? Do you even know how much lies he has spread? You should have accepted." Yusaka was unable to complete when Willow aimed her Masamune towards her throat as she coldly spoke. "Do you take Juniper for a slut like you, Fox? Talk insulting things about Juniper or my student Issei, and your throat will fall, is that clear?" Juniper keeps her hand on Willow and speaks, "It matter not." Willow, watch as their perception of their so-called hero falls apart. They will realize that they have lost a gem and traded with someone like Dai. Juniper's words made the faction leaders angry, minus Shiva, who could only watch this happen. He could clearly see a stark contrast between how Arcadians see Issei and how the faction leaders see Issei. Willow puts her Masamune down as she speaks, "Killing you here would have been pointless anyway. Yep, if Issei wanted you dead, he would have killed each and every one of you and dared you to do something about it, remember?" The faction leaders minus Shiva were angrier by this, but some were scared beyond belief. Goro clenched his fist in anger at how Issei's forcefully snatched Dai's items from him, threatening to wipe out the Hyoudou if they did not comply, not knowing they were stolen by Dai. He almost killed his own sister to prove a point, seeing Ike hyperventilating, remembering on how he killed her, while Tiamat was unable to do but watch. It was only after Mickey returned the items did he spare her. Seeing them in grief made Issei happy for some reason, and he enjoyed that feeling a bit. "Honestly, they are really like dogs of our so-called uncle." Bianca spoke with a cold tone, as Aqua added, "Yep, all the more reason to not ally with these bucks. The worst part is that their pillar wanted to marry us. Just how bucked up is that?" Violet spoke with anger as she continued, "If Dad didn't convince us that he would handle this Hyoudou, I would have beaten his smug face over and over again till he submits. I would enjoy seeing him suffer." "You are right on that one, but Dad convinced us that he is going to make Dai suffer and humiliate him. We should enjoy the show." Jade spoke as John added. "Plus, he already has plans to deal with these leaders and will annihilate them if need be, if they even try to harm him, especially Serkant over there." John pointed toward Serziches, who was seething in rage. The amount of disrespect Issei and his family has given was too much. He vowed to put Issei in his place, not knowing Issei's icon was designed to destroy any devils or creatures of darkness. "Everyone, let's see on how our uncle gets his ass kicked left, right and center. I want him to suffer for what he did to Dad. I believe he would do it." Saffron and Olivia remained silent, watching the match with enjoyment. Serziches was shaking with rage. Not only did they show utter disrespect to him, but also they are enjoying their suffering. The only reason he did not attack was because of Issei killing Artemis and almost killing the two for threatening Arcadia to get his god keys. The two being Rias and Serziches. The reason for this match happening is because if Dai wins, Arcadia will assist them and ally with them, but if Issei wins, all sacred gears will become part of Arcadia. Arcadia, thanks to Issei and Jade, have already found a way to do so without killing the host. This was due to Issei finding out about Valerie and deeming the factions incompetent in handling this, much to their anger and hatred. A sentiment that was agreed by all the Elder Arcs as well. When it was informed to them, Issei and Juniper were tasked with extracting the gears, since it would be better off without them. Meanwhile, at the battlefield, Issei was already with a bored expression as he looked at his so-called brother. Dai then spoke with a mocking tone. "Are you ready to lose and grovel before me?" Issei only laughed at his face, silencing everyone and angering them, excluding the Arcadians, who watched with a smile. Issei could blow up Earth-DXD if he wanted to. These fools don't even know who they are really crossing against. Juniper had a sadistic smirk. If it were up to her, she would kill Dai over and over again. His mere expression reminded her of Nicholas, and she hated that. No, she despised that. "No, brother, I am going to make sure you regret ever thinking of making my life miserable. You had the gall to ask for my daughters. I will make sure you even think about going after them. I promise you nothing but endless pain and suffering." Dai Hyoudou, Issei spoke coldly, as he looked towards Nod, who made an announcement. "The match between Dai Hyoudou and Issei Hyoudou shall commence in a few minutes. Fighters, are you ready?" Dai brought out Ascalon, as Issei brought out his Excalibur and Jizo Mitama, and got into his stance. The blade was seen by Arthur with pure anger in his eyes, remembering on how his family deserved the blade, not this fraud, but he was too afraid, knowing full well on what Issei was capable of, and he dreaded to fight against Issei. For now he could only hope that Dai beats him, for good. And begin. The former brothers clashed against each other, as they vowed to win at all costs, no matter what would happen towards the other. Season 2 Prologue. Changing scenarios. Unknown location, 1:30 AM. In the distant location of the once proud location that was the Arc family mansion, a man was standing on top of the Arc mansion, as many troops were cheering for their new emperor. The man was described to be a man that had black hair and red eyes. He wore a black and silver dress coat, black armor, black pants and black shoes. "All hail Lord Draken, all hail Lord Draken, all hail the people that cheered for the person known as Lord Draken." He was once known as Issei, but circumstances caused him to become the way he is. He now was the sole reason why the Black Arm succeeded and why Arcadia fell. The soldiers that were cheering for them were Black Arm soldiers, all of whom saw Lord Draken as the reason why they succeeded. He foiled any Arcadian missions, wherever he was in, and took down several of his opponents, and is the reason why the Black Arm succeeded and eventually took over Arcadia. "It took 3 years to conquer all of Arcadia. I crushed everyone that got in my way, and now I will be the one to make others suffer, just like I did for so long." Draken spoke with an hushed tone. He remembered on how his life was miserable before this. Now they will no longer scorn or hate him. They will no longer torment or torture him, but instead they will fear and revere him. They will have no choice, since Draken will destroy anyone that gets in his way. Suddenly, someone came beside him. Upon closer reveal, this was Vlad Arc and Nicholas Arc. As Nicholas spoke, "Good job, Lord Draken. Arcadia has finally under our control. Any and all resistance has been crushed. I made the right choices in order to get you to our side. The bombings, that was her biggest mistake. The mistake that caused you to join us and become Arcadia's biggest enemy. Her? She was just a gullible moron that was under your spell for 20 years. She was a fool to trust you, and I was a fool to trust her. No matter, she is not going to bother our goals any longer." Vlad nodded in response as he spoke. "You were right on that, and now they are all dead. You have made sure to wipe out every last Arc, hunting them down and killing them. Even Galath couldn't survive. Your flames has made sure of that. You even taken the power of the gods for yourself." Lord Draken nodded as he spoke. "You were right on that one, Vlad. I hunted down everyone, the Elder Arcs, the Arc siblings, to any other Arcs. I wiped them out, took and siphoned their powers, the Icons. They tried to resist, but eventually I was able to corrupt and subdue them. Now." Lord Draken revealed his hand, showing multiple elemental attacks. As he spoke, "I have full control over them. They wanted me gone. They tried to overload me with their power. They rejected me for seeing the darkness inside of me, but I conquered them. I dominated them. I showed them who is the one in charge." And now Lord Draken spoke as his hands glow with fire, belonging to none other than the icon of fire, Urfid. "I have their power." "That's very good. Seems like Carmilla's augmentations did wonders to your body. We made the right choice in making the situation such that you would fall into our hands." Nicholas spoke with a cackle as Lord Draken could only look at him with a cold look. "Yet, judging by your look, you don't seem satisfied. Tell me, is something bothering you?" Vlad asked, to which Lord Draken spoke. "It's not that. I was thinking on how these icons chose their dominance. They chose those children for a reason. Their selflessness, bravery and kindness, but also their sadism. They were perfect hosts due to their nature and having the blood of an Arc. Eventually though, every person realizes the truth that their parents and loved ones, for all their strengths, are incredibly flawed. That they have feet of clay, that in many ways they hold us back from our full potential. Eventually, every person realizes that they must break free from their shackles. Nicholas and Vlad wondered what he said, however before they could react. They saw two blades stab their hearts as they looked in horror. "I am possible," Nicholas spoke with horror as Vlad responded. "Carmilla told us you should be under our control. How can this be?" Lord Draken only chuckled as he spoke. "You are right, she did break me. But in a way, she forgot to account for a few things. She forgot that when I am broken, I become more dangerous and ruthless. I have nothing to lose, and besides, I was only doing what you asked me to. Hunt down every last Arc, and by the rules, you two are also technically Arcs too, Vlad Arc, the disgraced son of the Count of Hyoudou, and Nicholas Arc, the husband of the Empress Juniper Arc. You two are also Arcs, and you two are targeted for being hunted." The two men started to lose their consciousness as they dropped dead, still under shock for what had happened. "Rest easy, Nicholas, Vlad, I will finish what you have started, but first, I have to deal with Carmilla and some stragglers I have left behind then." Lord Draken looks towards the sky as he speaks coldly. "I am coming for you next, faction leaders." Draken spoke coldly as he watched over his armies who are now cheering him, despite the death of Nicholas Arc and Vlad Arc, who are gone but with their death. All of the Black Arms and any Arcadian armies that will be joined by force will now be his. Now, the suffering of his enemies has just begun. Draken looked at a miniature cage which housed a woman as he spoke with a dark grin. "As for you, I have plans for you, my dear." Scene change. In Arcadia, Issei's room, Hades' residence, 9:30 am. Issei was inside his room. He was playing some Super Smash Bros. Ultimate on his Nintendo Switch he had purchased during his time. He was finally mastering Sephiroth in the game, which was ironic since his mentor was Sephiroth as well. A few months have passed since the events that have taken place in EarthDXD when they had left for that location. They only stayed on EarthDXD for 2 days, but when they came back, 2 months have passed much to their surprise. It was immediately discovered that Remnant and Earth moved at different times. Additionally, what Issei and Juniper did to Artemis was also found out, however neither Hades or his family blamed the two for killing the Greek goddess, since they knew they had a good reason. When the said reason was come to know, neither had any empathy for the goddess of hunting. They were glad that the couple was unharmed. Additionally, the Arcs were also happy that they are alright and the goddess was dead, else the Arcadian Arcs would have done anything in their power to hunt her down completely. Hades also had no empathy for his ex-niece, since Issei gave her many chances to back away, but she did not, letting the hatred of men get the better of her. This was what ultimately caused her demise. He also did not care on what Zeus thought of him, as he did not see that man as his brother any longer. Furthermore, Juniper told him about the others having feelings for him as well, which was revealed to be Nyx, Mocha and Office. He wasn't surprised for the first two, but he was surprised for Ouroboros Dragon having feelings for him. At first, he was not sure about accepting them due to him being married, but Juniper pushed him stating harems are legal, and eventually he married all of the 3 girls, much to their happiness. Now he had a harem of 4 girls, not bad, but it is not big as opposed to John's own harem. Seems like I should have mastered Cloud before going for Sephiroth. Issei mused, as suddenly someone sneaked from behind, as Issei's eyes were closed. A female voice then spoke. "Des, who?" Issei thought for a moment as he spoke. "Juniper." "Yep, it's me." Issei turned his gaze to see Juniper having a smile. She did not wear her usual clothing, instead, she wore a short-sleeved dress skirt, long socks and heels. She had to wear this due to her visit to the 4 kingdoms that happened a few hours back. She was visiting Willow who was in Atlas as she spoke. "So what are you doing?" Issei looked at her and spoke. "Who, me? I was playing some video games. Since I am on break time, I was learning some moves, like Sephiroth." Who knew that your Earth would have created a fictional character akin to Willow, interesting." Juniper mused as she sat down beside him. Issei then spoke. "So how is Willow-sensei doing?" "She is doing fine, for now. She is tempted to stab Jackass in the gut, but for now I have been telling her to not do it yet, we need that moron alive for now." Juniper spoke with a sigh as she continued. "Truth be told, we have sent the kids to the 4 kingdoms to protect them from the Black Arms, but are you sure this is a good idea?" "No, I don't think so. That is why I put a magic spell upon the kids, in case they were ever in danger, I would be teleported immediately. I am not going to lie, I have a feeling that John is in the most danger. You know how Vale is, right?" "I know, Osmond told me a lot of things. He told me about how corrupt the Vale Council is, and how many people are known to be selfish, greedy, not caring about others, or even outright murderous in some cases. I am worried." Issei. I am worried for John and the others." Issei pulled his wife for a hug and spoke. "I know, there is a reason why the contingency spell will teleport me when John or the others are in danger, when he would be tormented or beaten up, or when his emotional stress level is on the verge of pure survival. I will join and destroy anyone that even thinks about threatening them. Juniper only lied on her husband's chest, she was worried, but Issei knew that, and he had plans for dealing with those that would even dare harm their children. They soon split up moments later as someone knocks on the door. Ice, are you there? The one who spoke was Nyx, as Issei speaks, yeah, just give me a moment. Soon enough Nyx came inside, she was wearing a small robe that was part of the Deathless, her robe comprised of purple gems, and a cloak. She was now a hybrid of a Deathless and a primordial goddess. Issei soon rushed to her and spoke, it seems like you are now a proper part of the Deathless now. Yep, Galath allowed me to join the Deathless. Raedrir and Ossir have fully accepted me as their own, and Galath even states I have a chance of joining the council. Juniper exclaimed with response, oh that's great, Nyx, I am so proud of you. Issei hugged Nyx as he spoke, I am too as well, it is finally good that you are achieving your dream. Nyx returned the hug as she responded, yeah, it's amazing. Nyx spoke as she was happy for finding the people that cared for her and cherished her. Juniper did not say anything, she knew Issei long before Juniper even met him, and she was alright with him. She saw Nyx as her own family, and actually was able to understand why she kidnapped Ingvild. She was lonely and wanted companionship, but she got something better. A family of bonds and love. Suddenly, Juniper's scroll rang, as she asked, yes. Do you want Issei to the council room? Why? Juniper asked as a voice can be heard on the scroll as she continued, alright, if you say so. Issei and Nyx became concerned as Juniper cuts the call, as she gives a sigh and speaks, Ice, we have to head to the council. I could hear that, why? I don't think I did something wrong. Issei pondered as Juniper responded, no, that's not it, I was asked to bring you here, apparently they wanted to tell you something important. Okay then let's go. Issei spoke with a shrug as the three teleported to the location. Scene change. Our council chambers, 10:30 AM. So we are all in agreement. Jean spoke, to which Liam responded, indeed we are. Liam had already discussed this with the other royal families, and they all approved of the legendary general of the 501st Second's ascension to the throne of Arcadia. They all knew of his heroic deeds and actions, and knew he was fit for the throne. When the proposal was sent across to all the royal families, they were surprised that it even came across since Issei was a non-arch. Never had this been in the history of Arcadia that a non-arch has been leading them. However, when they saw his name, they remembered of his heroic deeds, as well as the genius who invented Salium, which several people still want and desire to gain it, but so far none have managed to gain them. The royal families immediately approved of the request. This is the first time in history that a non-arch is being chosen for being a candidate to the throne. He has the icon of steel, which was stated to be belonging to only one candidate before, and that was Richard Arc. Nicholas never would have been worthy of this even if he wanted to, yet this boy is Liam spoke, as Artemis added. But are you sure he should be pressurized with such a position? Artemis asked, to which Jean spoke, he performed being a general on such a flawless level, and is credited with the fall of the outer heaven. If it was not for him and his legion, they would still be a problem, they were dealt with earlier, and that made the war easier. I guess you are right on this one. And he did save sister when she was vulnerable and protected her. He is someone to be counted on. Artemis responded, as Alcee then spoke. That means we are in agreement. The others nodded, as Angel spoke, we are in agreement. Moments later, Issei and Juniper arrive into the throne room, as Juniper speaks. I have brought them. The elder arcs look at the two, as Galath speaks towards Nyx, speaking of which, how are the robes, Nyx? It is comfortable, but do I need to wear this every time? Galath shook his head and responded, only in meetings and ceremonies that happen in the Kingdom of Deathless, and yes, you will be needed for many of the meetings, so that you can keep up to date with all the necessary engagements and other works that happen there. I see. Nyx spoke, as Liam then spoke, now that's out of the way, let's get to the real business. Issei, before we ask, how are you doing? Better than ever, father, I am doing quite well. I'd say I am in a much better state than before, mostly I am either in my laboratory working on something, or train myself to become stronger. I do have to fight for Arcadia, after all. Liam and the other arcs nodded in agreement. Very well then, Ice, I believe there is something we have to tell you. Issei looked at Alcee, who had spoken, as he continued, what is the matter, mother? What is it you wanted to tell? We have all come up with a decision, and we have decided to inform you something. Alcee responded to Issei as she continued, we all wish for you to make you the Emperor of Arcadia. Issei, Juniper and Nyx became wide-eyed, with Juniper looking at Issei, who was comprehending on what was given to him. Did he just hear it correct? The elder arcs wanted him to be the Emperor of Arcadia, if so why him? Drake also was yawning inside his gear, as he looked to see himself in the same chamber as the elder arcs. Wait, what? Issei spoke with a surprised tone, as Julia spoke, you heard us right, Ice, we all want you to be the Emperor of Arcadia. But why me? I mean, didn't Juniper already taken up that role? Issei asked, to which Au.RageRevan spoke, yes, she did, but we also want you to become the emperor. You should have taken up being the emperor of Arcadia long before, but we didn't want to force you before. But I believe the time is right. For you to take up charge. Alongside Juniper. Issei looked at Arthur as Lupin spoke. You have shown all the qualities of the emperor, and you are more than deserving than being the emperor than Nicholas. So Issei, what do you say? Do you accept? Lupin asked Issei as he spoke with a respectful tone. I am honored to take up the throne of Arcadia, Elder Arcs. But will have to decline the offer. Everyone including Drake was stunned by this, as Liam asked, may we know why? Meh, too much paperwork. Everyone had a drop of sweat rolling down their heads as Juniper smacks him on the head as he exclaims, ow, be serious, this is an important meeting. Issei kept rubbing his back as Liam grunts and speaks, well, the reason is understandable, paperwork can be a pain. I can relate to that. Liam spoke while turning his gaze away as he continued looking at him. But I doubt it is good enough. You are a general, the third highest position in the Arcadian army. I am pretty sure you have to deal with your fair share of paperwork. Jean spoke in agreement as she continues. Sir Liam is correct, Ice. You have to deal with a lot of paperwork, even if you are a general. Julius then added. Paperwork is just an excuse, General. You need to come up with something else if you want to deny that. Issei rubbed his head and responded, fine. I am not interested in ruling Arcadia, it was never my type to be the emperor. I prefer serving that, and as for being the emperor, John is a better fit for that. Issei spoke to Liam, to which Juniper countered. 1. John is too young, and 2, there is still time for his coronation. Issei could only internally grunt, he was not interested in being the emperor, he was happy with being the royal consort of Juniper, but he knew that he would have to become an emperor regardless. It was how the Arcadia system works. But he decided to speak what his real thoughts are. Regardless, even if the war is over, the Black Arms are still out there, we have to be careful, that is why I prefer fighting on the front lines to defend Arcadia, rather than ruling it. I prefer leading armies to make sure the destruction of those that want the fall of Arcadia. Issei spoke his thoughts, like before, his resolve once again shone in the halls of the council chambers, they did not know what to say. He was even more worthy of the throne. The fact that he denied the thorn showed that he was never interested in that, he was never power hungry or desired power as opposed to Nicholas. Seeing this, Juniper then spoke. May I speak something to Issei? Juniper spoke as the elders nodded in response. She turns to Issei and speaks, Ice, listen, if you are thinking about Nicholas then don't. You are nothing like him, I mean at all. You proved that time after time on this, yet you chose to decline. Issei only sighs as he speaks, it is not that, I am alright being by your side, but Emperor, that is not my type. You were the first non-Arc born to be chosen as the Emperor, yet you declined, why? I would love to have you rule by my side if you were an emperor, if you were my emperor. Juniper responds with disbelief. Issei shakes his head and responds. It's not that, I don't want to take up the throne yet, I don't feel myself to be ready for such a big responsibility. Think about it, both you and John have been groomed for this very task, I could say the same for the others as well, so that you all can be prepared for what comes next, and I believe that I am just not ready for this. We are talking about billions if not trillions of people that I need to look after, I just don't want to harm them. Issei spoke as he continued, not to mention, I am better suited for developing and engineering devices and materials, as well as work in the front lines. I don't think I am suited for this. The Elder Arcs took his words into consideration, even Juniper and Nyx did so as well. Juniper then spoke, I see you never were interested in ruling, but you want to protect the kingdom by leading its armies towards victory and protecting us, while making sure none of them are harmed. You really are something, but regardless you are still seen as the emperor, even when you do not want to, and as your empress, you have my support. Still, Issei, think about it, you have been chosen for a position that only someone that has the blood of the Arcs. None of us are forcing you, and this is a big decision that would not only affect your, but also everyone else's lives. Just think about it for a day or two and make your decision. Liam spoke with agreement. Juniper is right, take your time. From your reasonings, I understand that making you the emperor can be quite taxing, and you are not prepared for that, I can see it. But Juniper will help you in any way she can, she will guide you through it. Juniper nods. Even then, if you don't want to be the emperor, it is your call. None of us will force you in any way, Issei. Liam spoke, as Issei wanted to respond, when suddenly lights started to glow. What the Nyx exclaimed in surprise as she continued, Ice, what is going on? This is one of the teleportation spells, which I designed to redirect me to the location when the Arc siblings are in danger. The Elder Arcs and Juniper became pale, as she exclaimed in worry. Ice, who is in danger. The other Elder Arcs also became concerned, they did not understand which of the children was under attack, was it the Black Arms, or was it someone else, who exactly was it that was doing the things? The color changed into bright yellow as Issei spoke with horror and fear. John. The moment that name was heard, the color drained from Juniper's expression. Nyx kept her hands on her mouth in horror. The Elder Arcs themselves were panicking. It could be the Black Arms or worse, the citizens of Vale and Beacon students, since Ospen has been informing them on what kind of people this generation of huntsmen and huntresses are, as Alcee spoke. That accursed kingdom. Alcee's voice had anger and fear in it. She was terrified on what would happen to her grandson due to what those in Vale are going to do. The Elder Arcs wanted to speak, but Juniper spoke with a pleading tone. Please. Juniper's voice made everyone silent as she begged Issei, save my son from those outsiders, I don't want to lose him. I will. Juniper, count on it, he will be back safe. Juniper only nodded as tears fell from her eyes. Soon enough Issei was teleported from the location immediately. Juniper could only fall to her knees and cry in fear. She did not want to lose her only son. Nyx and Liam, along with Alcee who had joined, primarily comforted her. The other could only hope that Issei is successful. If he is not, then the four kingdoms will fall. Scene change. Beacon Academy, 6:30 p.m. John was being beaten left, right and center. His whole body was bleeding in several locations, as he was seen barely standing and barely alive at this point. He tried his best, but with the aura cuffs, he was unable to fight properly. He was surrounded by all the Beacon students and all citizens of Vale who were cheering on his demise. The only ones who weren't were Lyran, Nora, Valkyrie and Ospen, as they could only watch helplessly. They wanted to help, but were unable to do so. The reason was that the professors were watching them and John, ready to attack with their weapons. If the two want to help, the professors would immediately kill them, and Ospen couldn't reveal Massacre Arcadia to the rest of Vale. They hated what was happening, but were powerless to stop it. As for John, Glinda Goodwitch made him fight against the entire student body. John was close to being beaten to death, as the blonde brawler was ready to land the fatal blow upon John. This is the end for you, Faker. John gritted his teeth in anger and helplessness. Like Ospen, he couldn't reveal magic, otherwise this match would have been over, and John would be triumphant over these cavemen. He cursed them with all of his heart. However, before Yang could even connect, someone blocked her strike as she exclaimed, "What?" It was revealed to be Issei, and he was very angry at what had happened. He soon brought out a finger and smacked her towards her chin, sending her flying across several walls and crashing at a nearby compound. She was in a complete daze and was unable to move. John spoke weakly as he was passed out. Issei immediately rushed to his adoptive son and checked for his pulse, as he became pale and gritted his teeth in anger. The audience and competitors were stunned by this revelation, as Issei acted quickly. His first priority is to save John, as he teleported right next to Ospen, Lai and Nora, and unleashed an aura that sent all the professors and other citizens flying. They all were recovering from what happened. Seeing this, Nora asked, "Who are you?" Issei turned to Ospen, who could only have a look of sadness and shame as he spoke. "I will handle them." Issei brought out the God Key Great Hibernation and gave it to Ospen. He then spoke, "Put him in cryostasis, click the button on the left, and this should save him." "Right, sir, Issei." Issei turned his gaze towards Nora and spoke, "I am counting on you. Protect my sons from these outsiders. I will deal with them personally." "Leave it to us, we will protect fearless leader at all costs," Nora exclaimed with a serious tone as Issei nodded. He recognized her to be the last Cetra. As Lai spoke, "You can count on us, I will also protect John. He really is in son." Issei thought as he saw the students and citizens recovering. Ospen puts John in a special coffin that would keep him alive till he gets proper medical help. It was the coffin made of ice that would save his body, a special medical coffin. This surprised Ospen. He knew Issei was pretty skilled, but this was something he never thought he would make. Now then, Issei had an idea on why John was in this situation, as he spoke. "You sick bastards, torturing a child for faking his way, and why? What's the matter? Did your pride get struck so hard that you had to resort to such low tactics and tricks? I will make sure you all pay with blood." Many of them got angry at Issei's words, as Ruby shouted in response. "He is a criminal, he faked his way in, and he is no better than Torchwick, he needs to pay for his crimes." Issei only looked at her and spoke coldly, "So killing him for fraud is the solution? You are telling me that he deserves to die for that? Who the buck do you think you are that decides who gets to live and who gets to die? You are just like Summer Rose, a wannabe hero who thinks that she can save as many lives as she wants," Ruby angrily shouted. Even her team minus Yang, who was in a daze, were getting angry, as Ruby continues. "She is a hero, a perfect huntress, and you." Ruby is cut off by a huge aura that was being released. It was suffocating to everyone, as some of the weaker citizens had already passed out from the aura release, as Issei coldly spoke. "No one is perfect, not me, and especially not that wannabe hero. You all think that John should die just because he faked his way in. For that thought process, I will put you all in your places, you damned bastards." Issei spoke coldly as he continued, "I can see why they hate your kind now. You are nothing but selfish, egotistical and ruthless barbarians. You don't deserve to live. You all deserve to die." And Issei activates his boosted gear and speaks, "I am going to enjoy putting you people on your places." Season 2 Chapter 1. Fall of Vale. Issei looked at his opponents, all the students, citizens and professors that were to attack him. Issei gritted his teeth in anger. He presumed that his stepchildren would be safe and well in the Four Kingdoms. When the Black Arms would attack them, they can handle themselves, with the sleeper agents that would cover up the deeds. But here, the Vale citizens along with Beacon professors and the students. We would have punished that criminal if you hadn't gotten in our way. The one who spoke was Puraniko's, as Issei turned his gaze to her and spoke. Oh really, Puraniko's right. Pura nods, as Issei speaks. Criminal eh? If I recollect, Vale laws state that the criminal charged with forgery of legal documents are charged with a prison sentence of 5 years if the forgery damages or kills any innocent bystander. However, if I recollect, John has done no crime, he did not harm anyone at least from your sorry lot. So by all accounts, according to your laws, I find him to be not guilty of the crime, no matter whether you morons like it or not. Issei spoke with a mocking tone while putting an emphasis on your, as none could answer. They gritted their teeth in anger and frustration. Weiss then opened your mouth. Despite this, he took away a position of proper student and he is weak, he couldn't even win against Cardin. Weiss's words only made Issei shake his head. She was Willow's daughter, she was nothing but a disappointment and a disgrace. He then spoke. Honey cause Osmond mentioned that no one was taking his position anyway seriously. Are y'all crybabies that got their prides wounded so badly seriously? If he faked his way in, why couldn't y'all leave him alone? Like why beat him to this extent? Did he show you outsiders on how weak-willed y'all are? Issei spoke with a mocking tone, however he was also very furious on what they had done. He just had good control on his anger. He was not ready for beacon training, he could have gotten himself killed. Issei looked towards Blake as he rolled his eyes and spoke, says the ex-White Fang member. Blake flinched upon this as Issei responded, don't be surprised, I know how much pain your organization caused to villages that foster unity. You are the reason why many hate you. Blake could be seen gritting her teeth in anger as Ruby retorts. She has changed, she is not the same criminal that she was before. Issei has had enough of this child, it was no wonder why many hate her mother in the military so much, John being one of them. Oh really, what about John? I am pretty sure Belladonna over here has done many crimes that would make John's look like a walk in the park. This is exactly why your mother is so much hated in the military, but enough talk, it is time I make you pay. Issei had his boosted gear ready, as he knew exactly on how to take them down. Many shouted as they started to charge at Issei, only for him to grin maniacally. Even Yang also joined in. She was certainly going to beat up John's savior. Issei only brought out his wings and generated a very powerful heat wave that started to burn the skin of his opponents. They all screamed in pain as their whole body was charred with third-degree burns. They soon fell on the ground, groaning in pain. Issei turned his glance away and spoke. I can see why Arcadians hated you. Know your place, outsiders. Issei walked away as he jumped towards Osmond and asked, is he? Osmond nodded and looked at the coffin which was monitoring his vitals as Issei spoke. We should head back to Arcadia, that place is the only location that can save him. Nora and Lai were confused as Nora asked, Arcadia? I will explain later, come with us, both of you. Lai and Nora nodded, seeing that they had no choice. Issei looked at Team CRDL who also joined them. Lai and Nora had a lot of questions, but Issei told them that it will be answered later on. Arcadian Hospital, 8 p.m. John was being rushed to the hospital with his mother, stepfather. His sisters who had heard of the news and immediately rushed to the hospital. The others were also making calls and contacts, making sure that John remained alive. John, nothing is going to happen to you, please, I don't want to lose you too. Juniper spoke with tears in her eyes, she did not want to lose her only son. The Arcadian phantoms that were constantly keeping him alive, it was much easier due to the specialized coffin John was under, due to the great hibernation, it was not only able to preserve his vitals, but also his body as well. In the meantime, Lai and Nora were speaking to Osmond. They were surprised to not only hear that John was the prince and the heir to this kingdom. Not only that, Team CRDL were also sent as bodyguards, however they were helpless and powerless to stop John's torture, had it not been for Issei stepping in and saving him at right time. He would be at a worse condition, and chances of him being saved would be far less than what we had seen. They still took time to process that. Osmond wanted to tell Lai about his family, but now was not the time. Since John was the first priority. They had to save him before it is too late. The coffin will keep his vitals in check, but it is only meant for preservation, they still had to heal him up. Back with John, he was being operated with the coffin being set by Issei that would allow them to work on him and allow him to be healed while also preserving his vitals. The Arcs were patiently waiting for John to recover, with Issei calming his wife and daughters down, assuring them that they will be fine. They were joined by Issei's own family, with Persephone hoping that her step-grandson, or to be more precise, adoptive step-grandson. Hades clenched his fists in anger as he and Liam were talking with Osmond outside the hall where John and the rest of his family was as he spoke. I tried to save them, but I failed to do so. Hades only grumbled in frustration as he spoke, you know, you could have used your magic to save him, right? I can't, Arcadia has rules preventing this which would reveal their secret. Sir Issei was able to save them since he already had planned for this by finding a loophole in this. He was able to use a spell on John before he reached the borders of the Four Kingdoms, that was how he saved them. Hades narrowed his gaze as Liam spoke. Osmond is right, our rules of not revealing ourselves to these outsiders is what got John almost killed. Issei had a feeling this would happen and pre-planned a contingency plan that not only saved his life but also protected him. He even made sure that all the others had such magic spell which would allow him to teleport whenever he needs to save them. Had it not been for him, John would have been dead. Liam's tone made Hades nod, however he was beyond furious that they tortured him for this, mere papers. As much as he hated to say it, these people from Vale were even worse than the factions, and that is saying a lot. They had the prides akin to high-class devils, fragile and small, easily breakable by such a small deed. This is not done, Liam, we need to make sure they pay for what they have done. Liam nodded as he spoke. Oh, we will, but first, we need to make sure that John is alive. Hades agreed to this as he watched Issei calming his wives and kids down. All of his harem had been motherly towards John, and they would destroy anyone that even dares harm John. Minutes turn into hours as the light closes off from the operation table. Everyone looks at the light as the Arcadian phantom soon comes outside. How's my son? Juniper asked with fear for the phantom to speak. Your son's condition has stabilized and he is now out of danger. He has responded well to treatment and is fully healed. Soon, he will regain consciousness and you can rest assured that he is safe and recovering steadily. The audience soon breathed a sigh of relief, with Juniper crying tears of joy. Everyone cheered for John's recovery. Issei also had a small tear seeing his stepson survive, with Drake cheering for them. They were all happy that John survived as they soon walked inside as John spoke. Mom? Juniper and the Arc sisters did not hesitate and hugged him, they feared that they are going to lose him. Issei watched from the sidelines as Persephone asked, aren't you going to join? Issei shook his head and spoke, no, I will let them do it first and, mon ice. Issei was unable to finish when Juniper and the Arc siblings all called out to him as Persephone spoke. They are your family too and you have become a part of them. Go, they are all yours. Persephone pushed him ahead as he nodded. He soon joined the embrace as they all happily accepted him as one of them. Hades soon joined in as he spoke. It seems like our son has finally found people that truly care for him. Hades and Persephone watched as Issei was talking happily with his wife and stepchildren. Moments pass as everyone embraced or hugged John, especially those that were close to him including those from Issei's family, with Persephone giving John a bear hug, almost making him suffocate. She was dragged out by Hades, with everyone having a drop of sweat on their forehead. Even the original 15 were worried who all were ecstatic to see John alive and well, he still needed some time to recover. They were angered that those outsiders almost killed John for papers. They vowed to make Vale pay, especially that Mistralian champion for killing John. Issei, meanwhile, was talking with his wife and daughters as Saffron declared with an angered tone. I want to make them pay, they will pay for harming and almost killing my baby brother. Saffron spoke angrily, while radiating some of her power, her icon of light, Bahamut, as Bianca added while in her primed form, which was the icon of darkness, Auden. I agree, I am more than happy to put them in their places, they will regret even harming my little brother, Bianca spoke as Rosemary added with her arms almost turning to rock, this was due to her icon of earth, Titan. I am going to enjoy pummeling those bastards, they plan to burn our brother like a sort of criminal. I will make them pay, Rosemary spoke, as Jade added, while ice was emitting from her body. This was due to her having the icon of ice, Shiva. Alright girls, enough. Issei spoke with a serious tone, we won't fight against the Four Kingdoms right away. The girls wanted to protest, however Juniper kept quiet knowing how angry Issei was when he came to her with John in a coffin, being kept alive, he was not going to let them go that easily. Osmond informed her on how Issei left John's tormentors with third-degree burns and their bodies almost being charred. Fortunately for the Arcadians, their aura was keeping them alive so that they could vent out their anger upon them for harming the prince. For now, we must take care of John, and I am pretty sure he would want some payback, especially against those so-called friends of his. The girls were reluctant upon this, as Aqua spoke. But Dad, we can't just let them go scot-free, they have to pay for this. Issei only looked at Aqua and spoke, when did I say we are letting them go scot-free? Once John is ready, we will destroy Vale, remove its place from the world of remnant. Aqua nodded as Issei spoke, plus, we can't let them escape judgment now, can we? Jade, I am going to need your help on this one. Jade looked at Issei and asked, what is it, Dad? I will assist you in this one, but we need to isolate Vale from the rest of the kingdoms, for that we need a communications jammer, as well as putting the whole kingdom in a separate dimension. Will you be able to do that? Jade only gave a smile as she spoke. That's it. Jade's grin soon turned sadistic as she speaks. It would be my pleasure. Juniper had a smile watching this. She knew that Issei is not going to forgive Vale, but he put John first over vengeance, and it was because of him that John successfully was able to survive. Great then, the rest of you, look after John, and if you need me, call me or Jade, okay? The others nodded in agreement as Issei and Jade soon headed to their laboratory. The others soon headed to John to look after him. Scene change. A few hours later, Issei's room, 11:30 p.m. Issei was with Willow and Juniper as they all discuss on what needs to be done with the citizens of Vale. Willow was looking down in sadness at what her daughter had done, as calmed her down. Unlike Willow, and was finally able to reunite with her son, and thanked Issei for that, she was also glad that unlike Weiss, Lai supported John. Told ya, I will find Lai, no matter what happens, and could only nod and give a smile, as Willow spoke, but still, I should have been more present for her life. Had I been there, his influence wouldn't have been so prevalent on Weiss. Willow spoke with regret, as Juniper spoke with sadness. She made her choice. Had it not been for Issei, she would have been dead. If John had died, hell, all 4 kingdoms would have been dead. At least, she has the most chance of surviving due to being the one who tormented him less, as opposed to that blonde bimbo and Mistralian champion. Not a high bar to set up, but still better nevertheless. Willow could only give a nod, as she soon asked Issei, speaking of which, is the devices set up? Yep, it was frankly easy, as in Jade's own words, these 4 kingdoms have such security that even a child can break through it. The 3 women nodded in understanding as Juniper spoke. It doesn't surprise me that these primitives wouldn't even bother updating their system, since they are too overconfident that no one would hack or break through it. Juniper spoke with a cold tone, as none corrected her. Not even Issei, since he was also angry at what he had done. Issei then spoke. Speaking of which, what is Lai going to do now? And thought for a moment as she spoke. For now, I want him to get along with Shu, then I will probably give him the rings. I am more than happy to teach him on how to use them. He should be an Arcadian samurai in no time. Speaking of which, how is creating your own clan going? And asked, remembering on the foundation and formation of the Hyoudou clan. It started after he came back from his honeymoon. Upon an suggestion, he decided to create his own clan. Him being the leader of the clan for now, and no sooner did he send the reveal, several Arcadians desired to join the clan. The clan had some rules that Issei made it compulsory to follow. 1. You must never reveal sensitive information about Hyoudou clan to others for as long as you live. 2. You must always put family first, defend each other like defending your own kin. Protect each other at all costs, while the others protect you. 3. Though our paths may have diverged, you must continue to live out your life with all your might. You must never consider your own life to be something insignificant, and you must never forget about your friends and family in the clan, for as long as you live. These rules was meant for only those that are in the clan, but the first rule is also meant for those that leave the clan. These rules were set up by Issei, thanks to his own personal experiences, which were approved by him herself. Additionally, during his travels, he was also able to find unique material, or more accurately metal. The metal was almost similar to steel, but wasn't. It had the same shine as steel, however. This was Beskar. The metal that was later found and forged by Issei for his armors. He gave it to many of his clan members. This metal was seen by the Arcadian samurai as a valuable resource. They all decided to preserve it, letting no one, especially the Hyoudou clan of Arcadia, to reveal this information to anyone. It's going fine, the tests are still going on along with the training. Who knew Beskar would be this strong? Issei spoke with a shrug, as only a select few that Issei trusts know about Beskar. Anyways, we are getting sidetracked. How do we plan on dealing with the Vale anyway? Issei continued as Juniper spoke. I have a plan. At this point, I am pretty sure word has spread about John's condition to the Arcadian kingdoms, or at least the ones present in Arcadia, right? Issei nodded as he spoke. Yep, you got that one right, but soon enough word will spread, and everyone will know about it, and would take up arms. But that is the problem. We only want Vale to be dealt with, and there is not enough ground to cover the Arcadian army. We would just annihilate them out existence with our overwhelming numbers alone, and it is not like Vale has any special huntsmen or huntresses, unless you are considering Goodbitch. Juniper only scoffs at Glinda's name, seeing her as the root cause of the problem as she sighs, knowing that the 501st alone could wipe out the entire Vale like it was nothing, and that is without Issei. If with Issei, they are as good as dead. You are right, but many Arcadians want them dead, so what can we do? Issei thinks for a moment while speaking. Public broadcast. We will show them on what we did to them, if they are satisfied by us wiping them out. That should be enough, but the main tormentors, I have a plan for them. It will be simple. We will capture them alive for the trial. The Arcadians would boo and humiliate them in every manner. I am pretty sure they are going to enjoy their humiliation. This includes those professors as well. Issei spoke, as he continues. Our plan will be simple. We will make an example of Goodbitch, the main orchestrator of the fight. All 4 of us will make an example of her. I will be joining too, hope you don't mind. Juniper shook her head and spoke, no, why would we, it would be nice of you to join as well. Alright then, Juniper, I need you to do one small favor. Juniper and the others look at Issei as she asks, what favor? Issei only gave a grin as he explained the favor to them, who could only have a sadistic grin. She was going to enjoy seeing the despair on the faces of the Beacon students and people of Vale. Scene change. I'm Skip, brought to you by Chibi Concept. Issei joining the massacre against the Vale citizens. The next day, Beacon Academy, 9:30 am. Osmond had gathered everyone to the auditorium he had gotten in his position. He was informed of the plan that would end all of Vale. At this point, he did not care about the students or the professors, they were destined to die regardless. Additionally, Osmond asked the students to come in without their weapons or armor. Now I believe on why I called you here, right? I am disappointed in what you all did towards Mr. Arc, but I am glad that Mr. Arc Hyoudou put you in his place. However, don't expect me to stop him or condemn him in any way. You all brought this on yourselves. The students were protesting with Glinda and the professors glaring at him in anger as Osmond shouted. Silence. The mere word silenced everyone as they were glaring at him. Suddenly the amphitheater behind him starts to activate as a woman's appearance is shown, as Osmond explains. The woman was none other than Juniper Arc herself. She was now in a different clothing, now wearing her golden armor, which consisted of pauldrons, placard, knee guards and shin guards. She wore a black sleeveless dress and leggings of the same color. Her hair was out in the open and she had a sadistic grin on her face. Look, the son whom you have hurt was her son, and now, because of you morons who couldn't suck up their pride, I hope you are proud of it. The Beacon students, like the idiots they are, kept booing at her, as Juniper speaks with a mocking tone. So these are the infamous students of Beacon that hurt my boy. My name is Juniper Arc, and it is not a pleasure to meet any of you. You are the reason why my son almost died. Juniper spoke with increasing anger, as she continued looking at how they are insulting her in every way. They showed no remorse or guilt for their actions. This is the kind of attitude you see in Beacon, a school full of psychopaths. A pity, they were supposed to be the protectors of Remnant, and from what I'm seeing, none of you have even earned that title. You're all just a bunch of circus clowns to us. What do you want from us? What are your intentions? Juniper lost her anger and almost laughed. His acting was a joke, however she soon grinned and spoke, my intentions the fall and destruction of Vale, and soon enough, Vale will be nothing but forgotten. And do you honestly believe you can stop us? We never heard of this Arcadia until now, how are we so sure that you are capable of even stopping us? Juniper only cackled as she spoke, of course we can, our army is already here as we speak, and don't forget, my husband almost killed you, the only reason you are still here is because we wanted you to suffer. Now witness your end. Linda and the others remembered the burns that Issei had caused them, it was obvious that he was going to be here again. However, they believed that they were prepared for him this time. Yang was ready to give a beatdown upon Issei for almost killing Ruby. Take it away, darling. The scene changes to the Arcadian destroyers suddenly appearing as many watch from the outside, the destroyers already appearing and beginning their attack on Vale. Scene change. Issei was in his Mandalorian armor, his armor was made out of pure Beskar, as he looked at the screens coldly. He looked to see the entire 501st and other Arcadian platoons that were ready for a war beside him. His armor is described to have metallic silver armor plates, with his arms being that are gold as the light shines upon it. He is wearing a good helmet with a T-shaped visor and is donning a flowing red cape that almost resembles that of hair, it's coming out of his shoulder armor. This was his Mandalorian armor, and in this armor he is nicknamed Mandalore the Ultimate. Are we in position, Lieutenant? The Arcadian 501st Lieutenant responded, yes, we are in position, General. Excellent, deploy the Arcadian mech suit troopers. Issei gave the command as soon enough the troopers were deployed into the field as he spoke with a smile, take it away, Asia. In the streets of Vale, several 501st mech suit troopers were deployed. These were the Arcadian troopers that had a mechanical suit which could fly into the air and unleash missiles and grenades similar to the Au.RageRevan. This was led by their leader Asia Argento, who speaks, destroy the buildings and the shops, I want this place completely cleaned up. The troopers responded. Yes, ma'am. The troopers start to fire onto the civilians who all start to run in different directions, panicking. Soon enough, some of the missiles hit them. The debris falls onto them which instantly kills some of the civilians. Oh this is madness, they are doing this. One of the civilians speaks, but is cut off by a sniper shot from Asia herself, who speaks, you should have thought of this before harming His Highness, now you will all pay. Asia kills the civilians as she flies around unleashing havoc onto the civilians. She does not stop as she aims her attack at a nearby dust shop, causing it to explode, killing any unfortunate people including the shop owner that was inside. The Vale police try to stop her, as one of them speaks. Everyone, we fire on that captain, I want her dead. The police captain speaks, as another responds, roger that, fire. Asia only scoffs, as soon another fighter joins the flames. These were Vi-10A Hog Valkyrie. They can transform from a mechanical suit to its jet form. They are armed with rocket pods and HGU-18A2 heavy gun pod. What the buck is that the Vale officer speaks, as a policeman responds, must be a paladin, fire at it, destroy it. The police keep firing, but they are failing miserably, as Asia speaks with a cocky tone. Apathetic, the Hog Valkyrie starts to transform into its mechanical suit version and starts to fire at the policeman, annihilating them out of existence. The police car exploded, sending it flying onto the ground as it crashes completely. The Hog Valkyrie keeps firing onto the policemen as they desperately try to escape, with one of them shouting, "Shit, get down," they scream in fear as the Hog Valkyrie keeps firing their heavy gun pods, followed by a rocket pod, causing a massive explosion. The police officers keep running as Asia speaks. Who says you can escape? Asia aims her weapons and starts firing towards the police officers, killing them instantly. Asia soon flies over as she is greeted by Ingvild. "You seem to be doing well, Second Lieutenant. The general made the right choice of giving you a command of a small battalion." Asia nodded as she spoke. "You got that one right. When we heard of the prince being hurt from the emperor, almost everyone in the 501st wanted to have a piece of them. When the general asked, almost all of us signed up, but not everyone could be taken in." Asia removed her armor. She was described to be a blonde-haired woman with green eyes. She wore her military costume. She smiled seeing the mech troopers and Hog Valkyries wiping out everyone. "Right. There would be no fun in a 5-minute war after all." Ingvild spoke with a mocking tone, as almost everyone wanted Vale off remnant after what they had done, as Asia spoke. "Yep, and I was lucky to join in. I am pretty sure the others are having their fun against the Vale citizens." Ingvild responded with a smile. "You got that one right." Ingvild spoke as she watched Ria's shadow company, Ingvild, Gaspar and Akeno all massacring any of the Vale citizens that would be appearing, along with any of the soldiers. Scene change. Back at the Beacon Theater, the students all watched the scene in horror, as well as anger and fear. Some of the students were crying at Asia and her unit, wiping out entire targets of troops. The screen changes to Juniper's expression, then spoke from the theater. "So how does it feel? The Armageddon, you all brought this on yourselves." Juniper spoke with a grin, as Yang shouted. "Why don't you come here and show yourself, you damned coward?" Yang shouted with her hair changing color and her eyes turning red. Juniper only shook her head and spoke. "You won't be seeing me, Xiaolong. He will be coming for his retribution." Juniper spoke with a smile, as many wonder who was Juniper talking about. Glinda then asks, "Who are you talking about?" Juniper only speaks, "You will find out soon enough, in a few minutes actually. In the meantime, why don't you watch another slaughter?" The screen changes to another location where another batch of troopers are raiding the homes of the Vale citizens. Scene change. Issei watches Asia's progress with a smile as he looks towards John, who was in his armor of his own. He glares at Beacon Academy and clenches his spear angrily. The armor he is wearing is described to be purple in color, having gold armor parts to go along with it. The design of the armor is angular and spiky. You can literally scratch anyone with this armor. The helmet is fitted with 2 spikes that represent devil horns and has a visor that glows red, representing 2 eyes. It is also sporting a red cape. "Those primitives," John growled as Issei spoke seriously. "Patience, John, you will be the one to fight against your so-called friends and your partner, who had revealed your transcripts." John looked at him for a moment as he took a deep breath and spoke, "As you wish. We will clear the second location soon enough. Irina, light the situation up." Issei spoke as he speaks to Rias. "Major, send in the Arcadian 501st Stormtroopers, raid every last one of those homes, and kill anyone that stands in your way." Rias nodded as she gave the command. This was the end of those that would get in their way. The Arcadian 501st Stormtroopers were deployed at the other location. They were marching towards the Arcadian homes with the intention of wiping them out. They were led by the first lieutenant of the 501st and squad leader Irina Hyoudou. "I want them all rounded up, drag these people out of their homes and bring them to me. We shall publicly execute them for harming Lord John." Irina spoke seriously as the troopers responded. "Yes, ma'am." They all headed inside to get the people as Irina watched another location where a massacre is happening. They were accompanied with several mammoth tanks that were firing their shells towards the buildings, destroying them with ease. The debris falls down on the ground as they fired the shells onto the shells, destroying it. They were joined by heavy tank brigaders as they attacked several malls in Vale, destroying the locations, causing the debris to fall on the ground. They also fire their weapons, killing the civilians. The huntsmen try to stop them, but they are barely doing any dents on the shields as they easily wipe out any hunters that would stand in their way. The huntresses and huntsmen struggle to even lay a dent on this thing as they curse the being. "We can't even lay a dent on this thing," another speaks while firing his machine gun onto the heavy tank brigaders. "Curse them, they will regret messing." The man was unable to complete as they were annihilated by several missiles aimed towards them, wiping them out of existence. They cursed these beings for wiping them out without any mercy. Irina watched the scene with a cold look as one of the stormtroopers came forward and asked, "Ma'am, we managed to get them." Irina looked at the stormtroopers dragging the people out as one of them shouted, "Do you even know who I am?" The man spoke glaring at Irina, who was in her armor, as he continued, "I am a very powerful huntsman and..." Irina slaps him really hard as she speaks, "Don't know, don't care, put your hands in the air, now. You won't make me." The man was unable to continue as Irina follows up with a kick to stomach as she speaks, "Shut up. Drag everyone towards the wall." The troopers do as they are asked, as they force everyone on the wall, as they force them onto the wall. Raise their hands up. The soldier forcefully do so, as the citizens plead for their lives, as Irina commands them. Fire. The troopers gun down all of the Vale citizens as they soon fall to the ground dead. The troopers keep firing on the corpses till they no longer move. The troopers really hated Vale citizens, or anyone from the Four Kingdoms. Now that clears. Good riddance, primitives. Irina spoke coldly as she unmasked herself. She was described to be an auburn-haired girl with purple eyes. She was an half-angel. Seems like we are clear. Irina sends the signal to the general. The final assault has begun. Back with Issei, he saw the confirmations with a smile as he spoke, "It's time. Are you ready for this, John?" "You bet I am." Speaking of which, where is Mom? Issei spoke while rubbing his head, knowing her, she would be having her fun seeing the despair on those students. "Let's get a move on. I will clear the path for you. Have fun with those tormentors, "K. I will." However, just as they were about to leave, someone called out to him, "May I join the two of you in this?" The two turned around to see none other than Malthal, the angel of death himself, as he had spoken. "It's been a while, hasn't it, John?" John nodded as he spoke, "It has, Malthal. And how has my death made an akeno been to you, General?" Issei nodded as he spoke, "She has been amazing, she knows how to handle things." "Well then, let's get a move on." The three nodded as Issei motions Riaz, who pilots the ship directly towards Beacon Academy. This was the end for it. Another ship also joins them, and this was revealed to be Warren and Willow are. Scene change. "So, everyone, how did you like the show? Enjoy the death and despair that comes along with it?" Juniper spoke with a cackle, like Issei expected. She was really having fun seeing the despair in the eyes of these outsiders. "We should have killed that son of yours when we had the chance, you bucking bitch," one student screamed at the top of his lungs, which angered Osmond, as the others joined in as well. The students were cursing her. They should have killed John when they had the chance. Juniper only looked at them and narrowed her gaze. She was furious at these outsiders for insulting her son. She spoke with a growl. "I see, so that is how you see things. This generation of huntsmen and huntresses are nothing but a bunch of disgraces. You all need to be wiped out of existence from this world. You will cause nothing but death and despair." Juniper spoke coldly as she sneered, "I will enjoy your deaths. Goodbye, outsiders." Juniper cuts off the screen as Osmond only walked outside, as Glinda speaks. "Osmond, where are you going?" "Anywhere but here. All of you make me sick. You have no remorse or regret for what you have done to John, and you think you are in the right. The Arcadians will enjoy putting all of you in your place. I am done protecting any of you." Osmond spoke coldly as he walked outside, much to everyone's shock. Once he was outside, he punched the wall in anger, almost causing a dent. "I wish for the Arcadians to wipe all of you out," Osmond spoke coldly. Osmond then senses the Star Destroyers right above them, as he smiles. The time of these outsiders has come. Back at the students and teachers, a tremor suddenly occurs which causes everyone to panic. The doors soon burst open. Issei, Malthal and John. Issei and Malthal start to engage the students as they both get into their stances. Malthal attacks the students with his sickles as he starts to suck the life energy out of the students, absorbing his souls into his being. The students tried to run, but Issei was not letting that happen, bringing out his two swords, that being Jizo Mitama and Black Abyss, as he dashed towards them and either corrupted them, turning the students into dust, or disintegrating them onto a molecular level. Malthal was continuing wiping out every student that would stand in his way, such that John would have his fun with his teammates. "And you call yourselves warriors? How pathetic." Issei spoke as he spoke, "Handle your so-called friends, John." The minute his name was heard, Team RWBY and Purr look towards a figure walking forward as they glare at the one responsible for the fall of Vale. "You bastard!" Yang charged at John, only for him to release his own heat wave, sending her staggering. She still blindly charged at him, only for her to gain the same burns that Issei had given her yesterday, as John charges towards Yang and spoke, "Consider this payback, you blonde bimbo." John soon charged at her with his blade in hand. He raised it in his hand and shouted, "Witness annihilation." John shouted as Yang looked in horror and fear at what she was witnessing. John now has his sword and aims it upwards towards the sky. A huge beam of red and purple energy shoots out to the sky for all to see. Suddenly, someone tries to save her, who was revealed to be Raven, as she attacks John, but Issei acts quickly, dashing towards her and tackling her, sending her flying. "No!" Raven shouted in horror as she saw the attack hit not only Yang, but also damaging the others as well. Ruby, Blake, Weiss and Purrit tried to help, but the attack potency was strong enough to even damage them as well. Raven looked towards her attacker with pure anger as she blindly charged towards Issei, who only grinned. He waited for her to attack with her omen, as he quickly acted and used Black Abyss to strike and block the attack, which caused her weapon to fall to the ground. He soon followed it up with a stab aimed by GetsBetrayed towards her gut, causing her body to start getting eroded because of the key of corruption. She looked to see herself weakened as Issei removed the blade. "How nice of you to join us, Raven. Shame you couldn't save your daughter." Issei removed the GetsBetrayed and looked to see Raven lose her consciousness. If she is not treated, she would soon die. He looked to see Yang barely alive, bruises and completely charged, with her body being bleeding. She was crying due to the immense pain. With John towering over her body as he started to crush her head, as Ruby shouted, "Yang." John did not let up as he attacked them constantly as he ambushed Ruby and landed a series of strikes that made her scream in pain. Ruby looked at her legs and arms that were starting to get cut. She teared up in pain as John spoke. "See, still think heroes always win." John grabbed Ruby by her head and kept slamming her onto his knee as he continued to do so. Till he suddenly felt a pull. This was due to Purah using her semblance. She gritted her teeth in anger, knowing on how John was overwhelming them. The professors tried to help the students, only to be ambushed by Willow and An, who effortlessly dispatched them without much of a problem. They were all battered, bruised and crippled due to the attacks the two unleashed upon them. Glinda was held by the throat by Willow as the one-winged angel spoke. "Shame we have to keep you alive, for now you will be judged by the Arc Council." Glinda only coughed up as she responded. "Curse you." Glinda passed out as Willow took a glance at her daughter, who was fighting against John, who was beating her up to death. She looked to see John deliver repeated blows on her face, with her face being completely bruised and broken. Her teeth was gone, and she was bleeding from several locations. She was in immense pain and was crying due to this. She could only look down at sadness due to what was happening. Out of all the tormentors, Weiss will probably survive or has the highest chance of survival alongside Ruby, but she will be in prison for all her life due to what she had done to John. While Ruby will be exiled. It's alright Willow, she should have chosen better. It is honestly kind of petty for her to be beating on a child for just papers. And mused as Willow spoke with a sigh. "I know, I will speak to her before the trial. She will pay for what she has done, regardless." Willow spoke seriously, but with also sadness. And kept her hand as she saw John take down Blake as well, who was groaning in pain, before turning his attention to Purah, who had her leg shattered due to her trying to interfere. Ruby was on the ground passed out. Her cloak, which she cherished so much, was destroyed courtesy of John. She was also bruised and battered. Purah was backing away with fear as she spoke with utter fear. "And no, stay away you monster." Purah's fear was due to how John brutalized Team RWBY, with them being bleeding from every location and having several of their bones snapped or being battered and bruised or burned like in the case of Yang. She witnessed one kingdom fall in just a matter of minutes. A kingdom that takes years to build was gone in just around 30 minutes at most. It's time to end this, partner. John transformed into his icon, which was Urfid, the icon of fire. John stands tall, looking down at Purah, who has nothing to defend herself with. She can't believe what she is seeing. This is the man she believed to be a weakling, a faker, and yet is something far more powerful than she can ever imagine. Who are you? Purah shouts with fear as John cackles and speaks. Your worst nightmare. John decides to end the fight by unleashing flames that causes her immense pain as she screams in pain. Her aura that was protecting her for so long shatters as John grins. He was waiting for this the entire time. "Now, dodge this, partner." John spoke the last part with a mocking tone as he unleashes his strongest attack onto her. Damnation and Hellfire. John starts off by placing his hands together by his chest. An orb starts sparkling up and he closes his hands. John raises his arms up and now forms a giant fireball that is growing bigger and bigger. It is known as Damnation and Hellfire. John throws the large fireball towards the air, using his flames to propel himself upwards. Once he's up, John's entire body is now charged up in flames as he punches the large fireball at Purah. When it made contact, it caused a huge explosion of fire that decimated the entire arena, causing yet another explosion in Beacon. Purah was on the ground, barely alive. She was passed out with 4th-degree burns. It was so bad that both layers of the skin and underlying tissue as well as deeper tissue, possibly involving muscle and bone, were completely gone. Even the nerve cells in that area was gone, and there was a chance it cannot be regenerated. However, with Arcadian medicine, it is possible. Issei and Maltha looked at the scene with a cold look as An and Willow joined them. John reverts to his regular form as he speaks. "Seems like we are done here." John spoke as Issei orders Riaz to take the ones that are alive. She soon comes with some of the medical troopers taking those that are alive for trial so that they can suffer for their crimes. The others are already done with their fights. He soon speaks. "Well, it seems like Vale has fallen." Malthal adds in response, "You got that one right, these power-hungry mortals got what they deserved. Let's head back. I wonder what Juniper is doing," and spoke as Willow responded. Knowing her, she would be handling the Vale Council. Willow spoke coldly as they all nodded and headed back to their destroyers. Vale was gone, and the ones that will survive, their fates are already set. Scene change. Vale Council Chambers, 2:30 p.m. The Arcadian soldiers were dragging several corpses outside as Juniper sat on the council chairs and had a smile on her face. She always wanted to get rid of the council, and now she has gotten an excuse. You tried to hide, you tried to escape with your money, and where did it got you? Nothing but death and despair, Juniper spoke as she rested on the chair as one of the soldiers spoke. Your Highness Issei and the others have completed their mission, the prince and the others have taken down the citizens of Vale. What do we do now? Juniper spoke while getting up from the chair and spoke. We leave this forsaken kingdom and head back. Juniper spoke as she left the room. She soon left alongside the rest of the Arcadians. They leave Vale the way it is, with only some stragglers left behind, which were soon scooped up by the Arcadian forces. Season 2 Chapter 2. The Trial of Outsiders. Issei and the rest of the Big Three were watching the Vale defeat with a neutral tone. They managed to take out one kingdom without the rest of the three kingdoms even knowing. Juniper soon spoke. Well, it seems like one of the kingdoms is gone. Juniper spoke with a smile, as Willow responded with a shrug. It matters not, those outsiders got what they deserved. Now, I need to deal with my daughter. Willow spoke with a sigh. She could only hope that Weiss is willing to listen. She has been a terrible mother to her, and now she needs to set things right. I will take my leave, see you guys later. Willow left using her one wing, as in spoke, I will also take my leave, I need to help Lai settle in his new home, we also have a lot to catch up to. Okay, have fun with him, Anna nodded as she walked out of the room, leaving the couple alone, as Issei spoke. So what now? Vale is gone, and the trial is underway. Juniper thought for a moment as she spoke, we could take a walk around, like see on how things are. I mean, we do have some people to visit, right? Yeah, I wonder how Elizabeth is doing. From what I have heard, she has had 2 years of education in Academy of Carano. She plans on soon joining the military. Juniper nodded as she spoke. Well, that's good, I am glad she was able to settle down in Arcadia, she has gone through a lot thanks to Carmilla Leichenberg. Hopefully, we can still help her, Juniper added, as Issei continued. Yep, the Wesker squadron did all they could and it has worked wonders. She suffered a lot of trauma thanks to the experimentation she had gone through. Juniper, that woman needs to be stopped, I wonder who else she has experimented on, and she doesn't have any concerns or empathy for the suffering she has caused. Juniper shook her head and spoke, no, she doesn't. Ice. And she and Nicholas, they are a match made in heaven. John told me on how Carmilla used to have a relationship with him. He never loved me, and I hate the fact that I was so blind to his charms. If I had known, I would have never had a relation with that outsider. He caused so much pain to my people, my children and my family. Juniper spoke with anger in her voice, however there was sadness, not only has that man betrayed her, but also has been aware of having a second relationship with her. Issei acted quickly and pulled her closer as he spoke, I honestly don't know what to say, all the way back. His betrayal caught me off guard, I thought he truly loved you, and truth be told I was jealous of you. Jealous of me? Juniper spoke while looking at Issei as he responded, yep, I was. You had a loving husband, a partner that you can call a lover. I had no one. Oh, right, yeah. Juniper spoke while looking away, remembering on how he tried to go for the affection of two people in particular, only for him to be stolen by Dai. She growled when she remembers on how he was so broken and always hid his happiness behind a fake smile. She made that smile real. And then he stabbed you in the back, both literally and figuratively. Juniper could only nod, they both were victims of betrayal, as he continued, but your kids, they are still here, they love you as their mother, and don't and will never see that man who killed their mother as their own father. I guess you are right. Juniper mused as the soon split up as Issei spoke. Well, let's head out and pay a visit to Elizabeth. Juniper nodded as the couple head towards Elizabeth's location. She was given a special house that was meant to house her or any of the people that would come by later on. Angel City, 10 p.m. Juniper and Issei were heading towards Elizabeth's house, which was a simple 2-story building that had a porch which would show any car that she would have purchased in the near future. Issei soon rang the bell as Elizabeth shouted from the other side. Humming, Elizabeth ran down the stairs and headed towards the hallway. She soon opened the door while speaking with a smile. Oh, your highness and general, what brings the two here? Elizabeth asked, to which Juniper spoke, we just wanted to check on you, hope we can come inside. Of course you can. Please come in. Elizabeth opened the door. She was now wearing a black dress skirt with a belt attached at her hips. Her sleeves were freckled and she wore black heels. That dress, were you going somewhere? Elizabeth nodded as she spoke, yes, the Wesker squadron were getting together in a nearby pub. That is where I am heading for the day. I see, maybe we should come a different time then, have fun. Elizabeth shook her head as she spoke, not at all, I still have an hour left and the pub is just a few blocks away from here. Alright then, so how you are doing? Elizabeth took a deep breath, the three walked further inside, and Elizabeth spoke, "Those memories still haunt me, I am not going to lie. Every day I have seen my comrades dying every day, praying to God often gives me nightmares even now. But with them gone from Arcadia, it is lessening. So I'd say my life has been becoming better." "Well, that's great to hear." Juniper spoke as she spoke, "I can relate, his betrayal did haunt me and for what he did to you, I should probably apologize as well." "Please, your highness, don't." Elizabeth spoke while shaking her head, as Juniper only looked at her and spoke, "You are not at fault, many have suffered by Nicholas's hand. I am glad that bastard is dead. Speaking of which, how are you doing now, your highness?" "I am better, I found someone whom I can love once again. If it wasn't for Issei I would not have been here to begin with." Juniper spoke with a smile, as Issei couldn't say much as Elizabeth muttered, "Wish I could say the same." Elizabeth spoke, as Issei looked around as he spoke, "I am surprised." Elizabeth snapped out of her thoughts as he asked, "Usually whenever I visit someone from the church, my first thoughts are, usually there is some holy stuff belonging to Christ, so where is a statue of Christ or a cross?" Elizabeth was quiet for a while before speaking with a much colder tone. "I have lost faith in God, he was not there when I cried for his help, when I begged and pleaded for him to save me and my brothers and sisters. No one came, not even lad sorry Gabriel came for me. Had you and the 501st not saved me, and the Wesker squadron not helped me, I would still be under Carmilla's control. I apologize for my tone general, but I no longer have faith in God and the heaven." Elizabeth's cold tone made Issei really angry, just how neglectful could Gabriel get? She abandoned her own people, just to suck his brother's hawk. He hated what happened to Elizabeth and her comrades. Juniper kept his hand on Issei to calm him down, as she spoke, "It's alright Elizabeth, we understand that you may have lost faith in God. I don't blame you in any way." Issei spoke after calming down. "Neither do I Elizabeth, neither do I. So are you still an angel?" Elizabeth nodded as she spoke. "The Arcadians gave me a device that allowed me to hide my wings at will. I couldn't do so before, thanks to what Carmilla had done, moving around with these mechanical wings were annoying. I can now manipulate them, just like I used to back when I was with Gabriel." Issei nodded as he spoke. "So did you remove the ace card that was in your body?" Elizabeth nodded as she spoke, "Yes, Lady Jade has it in her possession, she is currently examining the card from what I recollect. She should send you the information by tomorrow." I see. Juniper looked towards Issei and asked, "So these cards, they are used by angels to replenish their numbers, right?" "Correct, there is a demonic version created by the smartest devil Ajuka Beelzebub. They are called evil pieces, almost akin to a chess pieces on a regular chessboard. The cards are based on that, only difference being that they are based on playing cards." Elizabeth nodded in agreement as Juniper spoke with magic. "That is really something, your world is quite advanced when it comes to magic, while not the strongest, it is still commendable. They are far advanced as opposed to the 4 kingdoms, or I should say 3 kingdoms, shame they are like this Issei," and Elizabeth could only sigh at this, they agreed to the Empress's words. Juniper then spoke, "Well, we should probably take our leave, have fun at your party Elizabeth." Elizabeth nodded as the two left the room. Elizabeth soon sits down and prepares for leaving the house as well, so that she could enjoy the day out. Scene change. Arcadian main city, 11 p.m. Issei and Juniper continue to head back to the main city, as Juniper asked, "Ice, are you angry?" "No, I am not, it is just that, I am." Juniper walks towards him and spoke, "I know you are angry, she has been really incompetent, right?" Issei stopped for a moment and sighed, "Yeah, sorry I shouldn't have let my anger get the better of me. I am just mad, has she been this blind to see her own brave saint suffer like this? To think I loved her once, I really hate what happened to Elizabeth." Juniper kept her hand on him as she spoke, "It's okay Ice, I know you are mad. I don't blame you, but getting even more angrier is pointless. Truth be told, I can see why you are angry, and I hate the fact that your so-called brother is ruining so many lives indirectly by his own greed and lust for women. But, it matters not, they made their choices, and now they will suffer when the truth comes out, if the truth comes out." Juniper's words made Issei nod, as he could only give a smile. She soon returned the smile, however their attention was turned when they heard a strike from a person which caused one of the people to speak. "Don't touch me, outsider." This gathered the two's attention, as they looked to see Tiang Xiaolong being pushed to the ground. The two looked to see the Arcadian 501st elite guards escorting the tormentors to their cells. "Let me meet my daughters, release them from their cells." Tai stands up and demands as the captain spoke towards the man. "Your daughters almost killed his highness. Had it not been for the general, he would have been long dead. That blonde bimbo would have not only doomed herself, but also the entirety of the 4 kingdoms." Tai could only clench his fists in anger as someone called out to him, "What's going on?" Everyone looked towards Issei and Juniper as Tai looked at the two being responsible for the one wiping out Vale completely. "General, your highness, this outsider has been demanding us to see his daughters, the ones known as Ruby Rose and Yang Xiaolong." Issei and Juniper looked towards Tai. Before he could speak, Juniper grabbed him by the collar, revealing her draconic traits. She is beyond pissed by what was going on. She hated what he was doing. It was because of his daughters that her son would have been dead. Her eyes had become reptilian, and draconic scales were appearing on her face. She was ready to incinerate him alive. Your daughters killed my baby boy, and you have the audacity to demand their release. Their pride had become so wounded and destroyed by someone that had faked their way, and I am going to make you wish you were never born. You damned outsider. Juniper opened her mouth ready to incinerate him alive. Tai gritted his teeth in anger. He was helpless and powerless against her. He tried to attack, but Juniper's aura was too overwhelming. However, someone kept her hand on her, which caught her off guard. Leave him be, Juniper. Juniper snapped out of her angered state for a moment. Her draconic part still remained as Issei spoke. He is not worth the effort. His daughters will face judgment tomorrow for what they had done to our son. I wanted to intervene, but a glare from Issei made him think otherwise. As Issei spoke, contact Summer Rose immediately and take this idiot out of here. If he is seen here again, terminate him. As you wish, sir. The captain was about to contact her, but Tai spoke. No. Tai puts himself down. As he speaks, I will see myself out. I walked away as Juniper released him. He soon gave a dirty glance which made Juniper clench her fist before leaving out of the location. Juniper wanted to teach him a lesson as Issei once again keeps his hand on her. She turns around only to see him shaking his head. No, don't fall to their level. Juniper could only look away for a moment as Issei speaks. Keep an eye on the tormentors, make sure they are well behaved for the trial. I don't want them sprouting any insults to my family. If they even try, make sure they are unable to speak. The captain spoke in response. As you wish, General. The troopers went inside to handle the situation as Issei spoke to Juniper. Let's head back home. Nothing we can do here. Juniper looked at him and nodded as the couple headed back home. They had to prepare for the trial tomorrow, that they had to deal with these outsiders. Scene change. Time skip brought to you by Chibi Draken sighing, remembering his past. The next day, Arcadian City roads, 9 a.m. The tormentors were being dragged across by the Arcadian Royal Guard and Arcadian 501st Elite Guard. Those that were looking at them were Arcadian citizens that were booing at Team RWBY, Purrit and the professors that were alive. People were throwing rocks, tomatoes and constantly insulting them, as many gritted their teeth in fury with Ruby looking away with sadness. This was not how she wanted her life to become. Throw these outsiders into hell's doors for harming the prince. Pathetic primitives, they think they can get away with harming our prince. They come from Vale, an unstoppable kingdom, yet they were destroyed like ants. So powerful, yet destroyed in a matter of just 30 minutes. How pathetic is that? So-called heroes of justice, they are nothing but murderers and criminals. The ones in chains gritted their teeth in either anger, sadness or at the humiliation that these Arcadians are throwing at them. It made matters worse when people were booing at them. Yang then shouted angrily. You stupid punks, just you wait till I get out of these chains. I will destroy every last one of you, weaklings, Yang shouted as the Arcadians, only for them to laugh at her, in a fit of anger. Yang tried to tackle the 501st Commander Elite Guard, who only responded by showing her to the ground as he shouted. Don't touch me, you filth. Ruby helped her sister as one of the captains spoke. Move along, outsiders. They were forcefully moved as the Arcadians kept booing and throwing stuff at them. They had to bear this humiliation. They soon reached the Arcadian Chamber Hall's entrance. There they saw two people in armor whom Purr recognized. Lai, Nora. The two now wore in armor. Lai wore a traditional Arcadian samurai, which consisted of an helm which had a mouthpiece. It had a winged emblem on top of it, along with a chestplate, tassets, pauldrons, fan plates, gauntlets, greaves and sabatons. While Nora wore a Pegasus Valkyrie armor, which consisted of a winged helm. She wore a breastplate that had shoulder pads. She wore fold, gauntlets, greaves and sabatons. She also wore a white cloth underneath her fold. Hello, outsiders. Lai spoke with an emotionless tone. Yang was about to lunge as the 501st captain slammed her to the ground, making her groan in pain. She had a defiant glare on her face. That's enough. Ruby tried to pull off the captain before she was kicked to the stomach by the 501st First Lieutenant as he shouts. Didn't our captain tell us to not touch them? Ruby holds her stomach in pain as Weiss only watched the scene with sadness, remembering her conversation with her mother. She gave a very stern lecture on what she had done, being outright disgusted for taking part in John's torment. She was shocked to see her mother being an Arcadian, but Willow explained to her that she was born in Arcadia and blames herself for being a terrible mother and not being there for her or her other two children when they needed her the most. She knew that Weiss would have been killed had John ended up dying. She had to face punishment for what she had done. Weiss was starting to see reason as to what her mother was trying to convey, and she knew her time would come regardless. It seems like many of you haven't changed even after your incarceration. You should at least show a little bit of shame for what you had done. I can only see one person actually doing that. You have no regrets what you have done. I can see everything now, the Arcadians have every damn right to hate your kind. Lai spoke with utter disdain, his reunion with his parents and a certain eye made him really happy. But unfortunately, this attracted the attention of a very jealous Nora who was being trained to use her powers. She was not going to give up her lover without a fight. Back to the present, both Lai and Nora were in charge of escorting the tormentors to the inside of the council chambers. They hated them, especially Purah for betraying John, but they are only following orders. I wish I could break your legs myself, but Her Highness and His future Highness has a better punishment for each and every one of you. Nora spoke coldly as they flinched at her cold tone. Yang as usual gritted her teeth in fury and helplessness. Blake then spoke. But Nora cuts her off by speaking, that's Valkyrie to you, you have lost the right of calling me by my first name, you wild animal. Blake glared at Nora for her attitude, however Nora continued. And who knew we were Arcadians by birth to begin with? Nora spoke as many wondered this. Lai then spoke, yes, outsiders, my mother and Ren and father Li Ren were taken into Arcadia and became a part of it. I supported John, regardless of his false papers. Well, we got into a program for orphans, we knew he had a good reason and he told us this before. You got that one right, Rennie, he trusted us and he even was going to tell you the truth. He was the prince of Arcadia, but you chose to abandon and betray him. Purah remained quiet as she asked, but why didn't he tell this earlier? Why did he hide the fact that he was a prince? It was because he had his reasons that we are not inclined to reveal to you, Purah. I am glad that he did not tell any of you. You don't deserve his trust or faith. Glinda was about to speak, but Lai cuts her off. Not a word from you, good bitch. You and all the professors of Beacon are nothing but disgraces to the word teacher, but worry not, the general has planned your demises in a very crafty manner, especially good bitch's demise. Glinda lost her anger and became fearful as someone had spoken. Don't bother speaking with these outsiders, Lai, they will remain stubborn idiots, like they always used to be. The one who spoke was John, as he was accompanied by a bunch of the original 15 including 2 redheads. The first was Akari Judas. She was described to be a woman with long red hair and blue eyes. She is wearing a black polo shirt with a black military vest and red armbands. She is also wearing blue pants with ammo pouches attached to it. The second was an elf known as Liana Siltwood. She was a very beautiful woman that had pointed ears, long red hair and blue eyes. Her outfit is more of a casual look, wearing a black polo and jacket that goes over her waist, some straps around her shoulders, and blue pants. Her name is Liana Siltwood. You got some nerve of showing yourself here. It was because of you Peter was unable to finish when someone punched him in the gut. This was Lily Ironblooded. However, she looked different. She now had white short hair and blue eyes. This was due to her bloodline of Garu being awakened, which allowed her to transform into a werewolf and even an actual wolf. Keep your mouth shut, you damned primitives. Lily spoke with anger, remembering on how John's condition was. Her scars were appearing in her eyes. She hated the outsiders more than anything else. John then spoke while keeping his hand on her. It's alright, Lily. It is pointless to tell these cavemen about anything. The trial will put them in their places. Lily looked at him and nodded. Many of the professors glared at John for calling them cavemen, but they were all fearful on what was going to happen. So you are the Puranikos that John talked about? Murata spoke with a sneer, as Scarlet spoke with a mocking tone. Look at her, she is so pathetic. She may be a redeed like us, but she doesn't even have a proper assets like we do. Akari looked at her for a moment and spoke, you got that one right. She really does have a flat chest, or at best a medium-sized chest. Akari spoke with a mocking tone. Purah was crying at this. They were mocking her in every way, as Liana added. Eyes, don't bother any of them, their fates are already set in motion. It's a shame that Willow's daughter is one of them. She would have been an amazing soldier of Arcadia, but alas, things had to come to this. Weiss looked down on what Liana added, as Yang could only grit her teeth in anger. If it was not for these cuffs, she would have beaten up every single one of them. Then we have this coward Belladonna. She deserves nothing but death and humiliation. She is nothing but a wild animal. Being an ex-White Fang member, Chen spoke with utter disdain, as Violet added. Yep, she doesn't deserve forgiveness for knows how many crimes she must have done, but John, he doesn't deserve a second chance, right? You outsiders are so rotten and disdainful. Violet spoke, as Ruby, who had recovered, spoke. But she has changed, and Violet aims a shot near her, causing her to yelp with fear, as Violet responds, really? What about John? If he wanted any of you dead, he would have done so a long time ago. You all deserve nothing but death. You all should be ashamed of yourselves. Ruby could only remain quiet and become saddened at this, as Blake could only clench her fists in anger and sadness. John then spoke. Don't bother wasting your time on them, Violet. Their expressions will soon change to fear. The Arc Council has planned some very dangerous punishments for them. We all will watch as they are slowly and steadily punished. John spoke coldly, as he motioned Lai and the others to escort them inside. Some of them could only scowl and complain on their situation as John shook his head. Why he chose these morons to be his friends was beyond him. Scene change. Arc Council Chambers, 10 a.m. The Elder Arcs were monitoring the outsiders who were all in aura cuffs and prison jumpsuits, as many were booing and insulting them. However, Liam raised a bit of his aura and exclaimed, "Silence!" The Arcadians all remained silent. Liam spoke with a sigh, "I would request silence when this trial is underway, Ozpin, if you may." "As you wish." Ozpin motioned forward as Bartholomew spoke. "Ozpin. You are with these Arcadians?" "Yes, I am Bart. No, I should be calling you all outsiders. None of you have the right to address me as such. You all tortured and tormented John when I specifically asked you to not, even after I pleaded, requested. You all ignored me, thinking that you are better than me. You all deserve nothing but disgrace, humiliation and death." Ozpin's words made the professors stunned. His entire tone showed nothing but disgust and hatred for each and every one of them. Ozpin then spoke. "Dear Liam, this is all the Beacon recordings. They all will be punished accordingly." Liam nodded as they played the recordings on the theater scene. The first scene showed John being ignored by Professor Port as the Beacon students beat and torment him. Some even harass him in every manner. He tried to call out to the professor, but nobody answered. The second scene showed the professors like Oobleck and Peach ignoring him for every doubt and question he had. The anger in the audience was increasing at how the professors had blatant disregard for a student, with Aqua being the angriest, seeing on how these professors showed utter and blatant disregard for them. The third scene showed Green shouting at him for not completing his assignments, blindly ignoring the other students stealing them from him. The Arcadians were glaring at the tormentors as they were now becoming fearful. The fourth scene surprised the Arcadians, Professor Mulberry actually performing his duties as the professor and helping John, despite having anger and hatred in his eyes for John. He put his duties first than his own personal feelings. Now the fifth and final scene showed where John was being beaten up and tormented. He tried his best to fight off against them, only to be constantly being beaten. The anger in the audience was increasing. Yang was about to deal the final blow to him. Only for Issei to save her and flick her towards a distance. The Arcadians lost their anger when they saw Issei and were happy that the general managed to save him from these primitives. The recording soon ends, as Liam spoke. "Order in the court, everyone." The voice in the audience simmered down, as Alcee had spoken. "So this is how the outsiders behave, huh? You all are nothing but disgusting beings that deserve nothing but death." Angel then added. "Alcee is correct, you tortured a poor boy for just faking his way in. You deserve death." Only Lupin then added. "Angel is right, disgrace, disgusting, and putrid to gaze upon these outsiders." "You are right, brother, you all deserve your fates, and we will make sure you are punished in every manner." Arthur spoke in anger in his voice, as Jean added. "Arthur is right, Liam, it is time for their sentences." Liam nodded as he spoke. "For your crimes against the Prince of Arcadia, I declare all you outsiders." Liam's voice boomed with a pause. "Guilty." The tormentors were afraid of what is going to happen, as Liam announced, "For the fates of Bartholomew, Oobleck and Anne Green, you all will be executed with a shot to the head. Line them up." The 501st Elite Guard nodded as they dragged the two to their posts. The others begged to let them go, as the three all looked at them with fear. The 501st commander spoke, who was a yellow armored individual. "Ready?" The privates who were in white nodded as the commander continued, "Aim." The privates did so, using their blaster rifles to aim at their heads. The commander then speaks, "Fire." Bam bam. The two dropped dead on the floor. Peter, Thumbelina and Glinda screamed, seeing this, cursing the Arcadians for killing their friends, as Liam speaks. For the next two individuals named Glinda Good, Liam grunts as he continues, "Good witch, sorry everyone." And Peter Port, "I believe you will also be executed, however the elite guard won't be killing you." Mocha, Issei, would you do the honors? "With pleasure, Father." Liam. Both Issei and Mocha spoke with union as Mocha aimed her hands using blood magic towards Peter. Being a pure-blooded vampire allowed her to manipulate blood magic with ease. She soon created tendrils and placed into his heart, causing it to expand and eventually explode, creating a rupture in his chest area. "That's what you get for harming my son. You damned outsider." Mocha spoke coldly, as Peter soon dropped dead. Glinda looked in horror at what Issei was going to do, as he spoke. "Let's see if you can survive in the cold of space." Issei grabbed Glinda in by her throat and teleported himself in the reaches of space as a video feed plays on the screen. The Arcadians knew about Issei being capable of surviving in space. The outsiders were surprised and fearful of this, with Harold and Thumbelina being fearful of what is going to happen to him. Back with Issei, he was in the deep reaches of Arcadian spaces as he snapped his fingers, unleashing a black hole. Glinda was unable to breathe as her blood, flesh and other organs. Once Issei was done, nothing remained of her. "Goodbye, good bitch." Issei soon returned back with nothing in his arms, as the Arcadians only approved of the way Issei killed Glinda. Liam then spoke with a deep breath. "Thumbelina Peach will also be executed in a similar manner, Hades, if you may." Hades nodded as he looked towards the human. "I can sense the amount of darkness inside of you, outsider." Hades's eyes glow red as Thumbelina flinched upon his cold gaze as Hades spoke to the audience. Arcadians, her execution is going to be more humiliating, you all have some tomatoes left, don't you? The Arcadians nodded, understanding what Hades is going to do, as Hades soon raised his hand and used his leg to cut Peach in half. Hades soon mocked Peach by imitating her voice as he spoke, "Hey, Hades, why am I getting arrested? That faker only is supposed to get justice. It is because you morons chose to torture him and not let him go," Hades responded as the Arcadians booed and threw tomatoes at Peach, who was crying in her humiliation. Persephone could only give a sigh seeing what Hades is doing. She looked at the Arcadians who were all playing along Hades' charm as Hades threw Thumbelina on the ground, who soon died. Now we get to the last of the professors. Harold Mulberry, for you. You will be arrested in the Arcadian prison for your entire life, that is your punishment. Harold could only nod as the students feared on what is going to happen to them. But the professor's done, I believe that it is time for the students to get their punishments. Liam spoke with a sigh as he continued, now then, let's get to the three students named Puranikos, Yang Xiaolong and Blake Belladonna. The three flinched as the three girls looked at fear as Liam spoke, your punishment will be nothing but death. You three tortured my grandson the longest, with Pura being the one who betrayed him. You all deserve nothing but death. Juniper, if you may. Juniper nodded as she walked forward, having a sadistic grin, making the three flinch. Except Yang, who was defiant as Juniper spoke. You three, I promise you one thing, you will regret every hurting my baby boy. Juniper snapped her fingers as a stake soon came on the scene. An Arcadian soldier soon gave some ropes as she grabbed Yang, who was trying to escape. Yang tried to rush to save his daughter but was stopped by Summer and Crow, who could only look at situation helplessly. She brought this on herself. Tai hated what he was seeing but had no choice. Juniper soon tied her to a stake as she spoke, burn like the witch you are. Juniper started to breathe flames as Yang kept screaming in pain, she was being burned like the witch. Tai could only watch with tears in his eyes as Yang was being burned alive. What made the situation that Tai was witnessing even more intense was the hatred that the Arcadians held for her and the fact they were cheering at her demise. Ruby watched with horror as she soon shouted while activating her silver eyes, "No." The elite guard shot a stun shot at her, knocking her out cold as her eyes were tear-stained seeing her sister die in front of her eyes. Blake and Pura themselves watched with tears in her eyes while Weiss looked away crying. The Empress soon turned her attention to Puranikos as she flinched. She asked Issei, "Ice, may I borrow the Black Abyss for a while?" Issei nodded as he allowed Juniper to wield the God Key. She looked at the sword as she kicked Pura, forcing her to her knees. "Goodbye, Mistralian champion. You should never have betrayed my son, Lycan's son in the last Cetra, you should have been by his side, yet you not only betrayed him, you also tortured him. You will die, just like the rest." Juniper stabbed Pura in the chest, which caused her to disintegrate on an atomic level. She could feel herself die as she closed her eye, a tear falling from it. Juniper soon held the blade in her hand. She grabbed Blake by the throat and spoke, "This one is for torturing my son, you wild animal." Blake looked at Juniper with fear as she chopped off her ears, making her scream in agony and fear. Blake looked in horror as before she could react, she was decapitated as her head was disintegrated on an atomic level, leaving only her torso intact. Here. Juniper returns the Black Abyss to Issei, who keeps it in his pocket dimension as Weiss kneels down and speaks, "If you wish to execute me, please go ahead." Juniper looked at her for a moment as she looks at Liam and speaks, "No, Weiss, we are not going to execute you, instead both you and Ruby will be spared since you tortured him the least, with you only insulting him. Instead you will be arrested like Harold for all your life. That will be your punishment." Weiss looked at him, she expected an painful execution like her friends, but she and Ruby were spared as Weiss asked, "What will happen to Ruby?" Liam spoke with a deep breath, looking at her, "She will be spared and sent to the Outlands, where she will be exiled for 20 years. That will be her punishment." I see the Arcadian guards escort the three out of the room as they will be sent to their holding cells before being sent to the locations for their respective punishments. The only reason they were spared was because of them doing the least damage to John, and with Weiss, her mother Willow begged her to spare Weiss. Liam then spoke with a sigh as the Arcadians continued to cheer, "This court is now adjourned, you may leave and head back to your homes." Scene change. Arcadian holding facility, 1 p.m. Juniper and Issei watched as Weiss and Ruby were talking to their loved ones, both accepted the punishment that was given to them, with Ruby and Summer leaving for the Outlands together. Willow hugged her daughter as they both bid their farewells. "So what now?" Issei asked as Juniper spoke, "We should head back and head home." Willow soon joins the group as she speaks, "I talked to Weiss, and looking back, I blame myself. I was so into pretending to be that bastard's wife that I failed to notice my own children becoming like him. I hate myself." Juniper, "Had I been there for Weiss, none of this would have happened." Juniper only embraces her friend as she speaks, "It's alright Willow, you tried to help them, but with Jacques keeping his eye on Weiss, it was inevitable that she would become like him. Regardless, who knows, she may change, and she is not alone in prison, you know." Yeah, I guess you are right, thanks Juniper. Juniper nodded with a smile. You know me, I am the best. Willow rolled her eyes as Issei looked at the scene with a smile. He knew that he could remain in peace. Little does he know that his past will be the storm that will once again ruin that peace. Scene change in the DXD world. Dimension gap, 12:30 p.m. The faction leaders were present in the dimensional gap as they all looked towards a machine that would sense a transmission message towards Arcadia. Azazel and Ajuka were operating the machine as Surziches asked, "Is it done?" Azazel spoke, "Just give me a few moments." Azazel configured the machine as he spoke, "Yep, it's done. Good, now we can finally bring my brother back. I have been dying to see him again." Dai spoke with a heartfelt tone as Riaz assured him. "I know Dai, your brother is a selfish bastard, he will pay for what he had done." Riaz spoke as Asia responded. Riaz One-sama is right, I thought he was a good person, but he was just a rotten perverted rapist. Asia added as the girls agreed to it. Dai was still happy that the girls were in his charms. Crom did not even care at this point, he gave up on them a long time ago. "And I will have my fight against the Red Dragon Emperor." Valerie spoke with an excited tone as Albion remained quiet. He had a gut feeling, but he knew this Red Dragon Emperor may be a monster on a different level. Little does she know, he was right. "Everyone, our first goal is to capture Hades and Nyx. They are in Arcadia and we will convince the leaders to surrender them to us as they are still criminals." Zeus spoke seriously as he clenched his fists. He vowed to hunt down the Red Dragon Emperor who was responsible for Artemis's death. He vowed to kill that bastard at all costs. Zeus is right and they all have to pay for their crimes, including Issei, the Red Dragon Emperor, Nyx and everyone. First they will have to pay for their crime. Then we can see what is next. Valerie reluctantly nodded as Azazel spoke, garnering everyone's attention. "Alright everyone, I will be sending a message soon enough." Azazel spoke as he activated the machine and sent the message. "Greetings Arcadians, my name is Azazel, the former Governor General of the Fallen Angels. I am one of the faction leaders belonging to Earth. I come in peace and I want to know that you are housing some dangerous criminals like Hades and Nyx. We only wish to talk so that we can negotiate their capture. Please, let us know if you wish for an alliance, we only come in peace." Azazel ended the message hoping that the Arcadians would soon receive their message. He looked in hopes, as many others do the same, hoping that the Arcadians would hear this message. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown in left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.